and I promise you will build a big, wide, impressive upper body with nothing but bands. Hey guys, Mark McKill with Live Anabolic, and today I put together a very simple and short workout for you designed to build a big, wide upper body using nothing but bands. All right, isn't that nice? Don't you guys like short, simple workouts? Most of mine are not that short and simple. They get a little convoluted sometimes, but today's workout is only bands, and the nice thing about the workout is you can do it anywhere. Remember, look how small and light these things are. You can stick them in your suitcase if you're traveling. All right, you can take them to the office with you. All right, doesn't matter. You don't have an excuse. No dumbbells needed, right? So why did I put together an upper body workout? And when I say upper body, we're talking about shoulders, back, and chest. 3 different muscle groups. Because if you can build a wide, impressive upper body, it makes everything else look better. It makes your waist look smaller. It makes you look skinnier, right? And when we do it, it makes us look good in clothes, all right? Some muscle groups you can't really see in clothes, especially arms, all right? If you're wearing, even if you're wearing short sleeves down to here, you can't tell if you got big arms or not, especially if you have on long sleeves. You can see an impressive upper body with wide shoulders and a big back, even if you're wearing a sport coat, all right? Even, you know, wearing long sleeves. Somebody walks into the room with a big, wide upper body, they just look good from across the room. You don't know if they have big arms. You don't know if they have big legs because they're covered up with jeans or slacks, but you can just visually at a glance tell that their physique is impressive just because they're so wide, okay, on the upper body. They might be carrying around an extra 10 or 15 pounds of fat around their waist, but you won't know it because they're wearing clothes. Today's workout will help you do that real straightforward. Only 3 exercises, guys, and nothing but bands. Okay, real quick, like normal, before the workout, please, guys, check out our Facebook group. It's totally free. Click the link below this video. I promise you won't regret it, even if you're not a big social media fan, even if you don't like Facebook. Just do it. I'm the moderator. I'm in there every day answering questions, plus over 20,000 other guys our age around the world. Super cool guys. Lots of really inspirational transformation stories that will help motivate you. Plus, it's not just about workout. It's about food and nutrition, and there's a lot of funny guys in there posting some hilarious memes. It's about people talking about injuries and what to do, on and on. Just join it. And then on top of that, do us a favor and help us spread the word about this fantastic YouTube channel. I mean, Gary and I bust our butts every week to put out really great content. So like it, subscribe, and share it with your buddies. I would really appreciate it. All right, I promised it was short and simple, right? So only 3 exercises. 1 exercise for our shoulder, 1 exercise for our back, and 1 exercise for our chest. Now that means we got to do more sets than we normally would on each exercise. So I recommend you guys do at least 4 sets of each exercise before moving on to the next. And shoot for kind of the 10 to 12 rep range, all right? So the first one, guys, is my favorite shoulder exercise at the gym, whether I'm doing it with dumbbells or the cable machine or bands, and that's lateral raises. So it's a small muscle group, which means you won't be able to do a lot of weight, okay? And so this is a real straightforward, all right, exercise. Make sure, of course, the bands are equal length on either side. If you get a little cattywampus, all right, like this, there's going to be more resistance on one arm than the other. So that's the starting point, kind of getting the correct length, all right? And then secondly, guys, you can do it like this, okay, where you just bring the handle straight up and out, and that's fine. This is the little trick I like to do, though. Switch hands. See how the band is at a slightly different angle now relative to my hand? All right, now let's check it out again. See? The starting point, the angle of the band straight down, my arm is straight down. There's not a lot of tension here, right? Now the tension does, oh yeah, it starts to increase and it's a lot here, But when you switch hands and do the crossover technique, see how the band is at an angle relative to my arm? So already, right here, there's already a lot more tension on my shoulder muscle, okay? And so this is why I like to do it this way. So guys, 10 to 12 reps, and you don't have to lock your knees. You can have a slight bend at your knees, okay? And then nice and controlled movement here. Your hands don't have to go any higher than about shoulder height. You don't have to get them real high. And for you guys with bad shoulders, a lot of y'all will be able to do this exercise without it really bothering you. A lot of guys have problems only when they get their arms really high up above their head, all right? And that's why I think this is such a great exercise, because so many guys can do it, even guys with bum shoulders, all right? So 10 to 12 reps, and control those bands up and down, slow up and slow down. And then finally, guys, I'm going to talk about this several times today, and that is intensity. All right. Now, I didn't do a proper warm-up, and I'm picking a resistance band. I can do relatively easy and still talk to you guys, still get across my point to the camera, but that's not what I want you to do. I want you guys, of course, to warm up really good first, and then I want you to pick a color band or combination of bands such that you are near failure, almost to failure on that 10th to 12th rep, okay? And that means, guys, and I'm going to reiterate this on every single exercise, that means when you get to that 10th rep, all right, if there was someone with a gun there holding a gun to your head, all right, and telling you you got to do 5 more, all right, you wouldn't be able to do 5 more. That's how hard I want you to push it, okay? So many times I see people emailing me or posting on Facebook saying that, you know, they've plateaued, they're just not growing, they want to build more muscle. A lot of times they're doing the correct exercises, they're doing good form, but they don't have the intensity. When I say intensity, that means you have to push yourself to the point of exhaustion on almost every single set. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, let's move on to exercise number 2, and we're going to focus on our back, or more specifically in this case, our lats. Now, your lats are these muscles kind of on the side here, all right, under your armpits, and they wrap around towards your spine, all right? They're one of the big muscle groups that make you look wide. They give you that V taper, okay? And so this exercise really targets those muscles. If you've never done this exercise, I promise the next day, you're going to feel it. You're going to be sore in your armpits. And it's going to be a good feeling. It's going to make you realize that you did something new. You targeted a new muscle group that you haven't, you know, basically activated before. And you do it on a consistent basis, those things are going to start to grow. So this is called a straight arm pull down, okay? Now, we're going to have a high anchor, all right? And this is an exercise where you're going to have to get down on your knees, all right? Because I want you to start off with enough pre-stretch or tension in these bands so that at the beginning of the movement, you already have some resistance, all right? Now, if you get too close to the door, all right, there's very little tension here. So you might have to kind of move back away from the door or really away from the anchor, okay? And I'm just going to kind of keep my back nice and straight, and my arms are going to stay straight, and I'm just going to focus on pulling my hands down to my side. And just like before with the lateral raises, you're going to have to do this nice and slow and steady and really kind of control that resistance. That's one thing about resistance bands that are different from free weights or the cable machines at the gym is the resistance is constantly changing through the range of motion. So it gets harder at the bottom and easier at the top. And that takes a little practice, guys. Now, just like I mentioned earlier, all right, on the previous exercise, I'm going with a lighter weight that I want you guys to do. But the only reason I'm doing this is so I can continue to talk to you guys while I'm doing the exercise. If I was really pushing myself as hard as I want you guys to push yourself, I wouldn't be able to talk. I'd be just straining and grunting the whole time. So you may not nail the correct resistance on the very first set. That's okay, all right? You might get to 12 reps and realize, I could have done 5 more if a guy was holding a gun to my head. All right, it's okay. Add another band. Change up the combination of bands that you already have and experiment on the second set, all right? You'll figure it out real quick. And then the key is, guys, just write it down. Take notes. Straight on pull downs. I was using, you know, a red band, a blue band, and a yellow band, or whatever it is that you guys use. And that way, next week, when you're doing the same exercise again, you'll know exactly where to start. All right, so in the spirit of keeping it simple and short, like I said, this is our third and final exercise. Targets our chest. These are gonna be chest flies, okay? Now, one caveat here. Guys, I have 2 complete sets of bands. Okay, so I got an anchor here and an anchor there, all right? Bands are cheap, $20 to $25 a set. I've had these for years, okay? So I do recommend you guys do this. You don't have to use 2 anchors. You can do chest flies with a single anchor right behind you, okay? But it doesn't work as good, all right? Let me explain real quick. All right, it just has to do with basic physics. So when I'm doing flies this way and I'm using 2 anchors, those bands are pulling me back this way towards the anchor point, all right? The exact opposite of what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to hug a barrel when I'm doing a fly, all right? And that's exactly what we want. Now, if the anchor was directly behind us, all right, when I'm out here, the bands would be pulling back towards the anchor this way, almost down the axis of my arm through my shoulder. So when that's happening, I'm not having to engage my chest nearly as much, okay? Because the stress, the tension is coming this way and not this way, out towards wide anchors. If you do it both different ways, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You will instantly realize that the 2 anchor set point, when they're kind of spread out nice and wide like this, feels much better on your chest. You'll get a much better pump. But it's not the only way. You can still do it with a single set of bands. Now, guys, if you had only 1 set of bands, typically it only comes with 1 anchor, okay? You may have a setup, all right, where you're screwing something into the wall. Maybe you're in your garage, but you still have 1 set of bands. You can use 1 set and see how these bands have the resistance written on them, okay? Each color's got a different number. You can combine the bands in such a way that you got 20 pounds worth of bands on this side that might be yellow and green, and 20 pounds of bands on this side that might be like a single blue band, okay? And that might be combined the same resistance, but I don't think it's gonna feel right. That's why 2 completely different sets of bands, 2 anchor points. That way you can use the same exact colors on both sides, okay? Which means the resistance is going to be identical from side to side. All right, that's just what I want to say when it comes to 1 set of bands versus 2 sets. And if they were real expensive, I wouldn't have you bother, but they're so inexpensive, it's worth your while to just invest a little bit of money, because I promise when you do this exercise, you'll know why, okay? All right. Doing it with a high anchor, you could actually move the anchor down to a midpoint if you want, all right? It's not that big a difference. But remember, just like everything else, I want you to step away from the anchor so that at the very beginning of the movement, way out here, this is the full range of motion, I want there to be a little bit of tension, okay? And you're gonna have to lean forward into it and have a real wide stance, okay? And then we're just gonna squeeze together and bring your hands and then control it. 2, 3. So, guys, my arms are not completely straight. I have not locked out my elbows. And what I'm envisioning right now with my mind muscle connection is basically like I'm squeezing or hugging a big giant 55-gallon barrel. You just, and then push your hands together at the middle. And go all the way back if possible, guys. Depends on your shoulders, all right? My shoulders don't bother me. I can go all the way back. And then really squeeze it at the bottom of the movement. Shoot for that 10 to 12 rep range. And then, guys, unlike what I just did there, I want you to be just dying on that last 1 or 2 reps. Because remember, that's the intensity, and that's what actually builds the muscle, pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. If you get to that 10th rep and you put it back, and you know if your life depended on it, you could have done another 3, 4, 5 reps, then that means you weren't pushing yourself hard enough. That's a real simple, easy way to know if you've picked the right band colors for the correct number of reps. Hopefully you think I kept my word when I said keep it short and simple and to the point. 3 exercises, 3 muscle groups, just 4 sets of 10 reps. You do this and push it hard like I was telling you, to the point of failure on nearly every set, and I promise you will build a big, wide, impressive upper body with nothing but bands.